Halo, Halo, suckers! And welcome back to another episode of the Sacred Icon Halo Playcast. Oh, the music just stopped. I was jiving to that. With Bryan and Josh, where we play through Halo Combat Evolved. Bryan, what level are we playing today?
2 Betrayals. It's
Oh
a level that we already played, but backwards with Banshees.
Yeah, man.
I like how when you're doing the intro, you're just doing the freaking jive still. You look ridiculous.
I
How
know,
can
but then
anyone
the
take
music
you
stopped.
seriously?
We'd still be doing it now. If it,
Hippopotamus buns.
Oh, those hippopotamus butt cheeks. Man, okay, one of the times we talked about this last, I was talking about how I think this was like my least favorite level in the entire game. How do you feel about it? Where's it stand for you? Is it like gold, silver, or bronze tier?
Silver.
Silver? Okay, why silver?
Because it's definitely not in the gold tier, because it's like it is Assault on the Control Room but played backwards, and it's not as good as Assault on the Control Room, so it's a downgrade there. But it's not a bronze, because for me bronze would be, even though I always say I don't have a problem with the library, because I don't, I'd say the library is bronze. I would say, honestly, dude, I'm probably gonna say keys is bronze, the next level.
Okay.
I don't really care for that level too much. Do you remember
So
how that
this,
level goes? I mean, it's yeah.
If Assault on the Control Room was Hybrid Theory, is it fair to say 2 Betrayals is Meteora?
No, dude, Meteora is my favorite album by then.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind then.
I actually think Meteora and Hybrid Theory bear the exact same quality from a critical standpoint. That's just my opinion. Critically.
From what I remember, I've not
think
listened to those in years, but from what I remember, they almost sounded like twin albums. Like, you know how when an album comes out and you're like, wow, I want their next album to sound exactly like this, but this like be a sequel.
It did.
And yeah, I think from what I recall, that actually ended up being the case. And most bands don't have that. They're like, oh, let's do something different with this album.
If I tell you, did you like the song Numb or the song Breaking the Habit, you're probably going to go, yeah, those were dope. And I'll tell you, those were both Meteora.
Yeah. No, those are good songs.
You know, like most people would think like Paper Cut or One Step Closer, you know, Breaking the Habit, like all these songs sound like they come from the same album. They're actually from Hybrid Theory and Meteora, you know. But no, this level would be this level would be Minutes to Midnight, which is the third Linkin Park album. That's what this would be.
Oh, isn't that where it went kind of like pop or something like that?
A little bit more. It was still, to me it's their strongest album that isn't the original two, but that's the one that was in the Transformers movie. You know,
Man,
the song
that's weird
with the song
to think
What
about.
Yeah.
Because Meteor came out in 2003, is that correct? Or 2004?
It was 2 or 3, but I think it was 3. I'm almost positive.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Because if that's right, then the Minutes to Midnight was what, 2007? 2006?
6 or 7. I think it was 7.
Okay.
Actually.
Wow. So they had a couple years, a little bit of a gap there. Makes sense though. They probably did a lot of touring.
This might sound bad to people listening, but I have a really good explanation. I think if you put yourself in my shoes, you'll understand. But I was like 14, I think, when the music video for the Minutes to Midnight song came out. I think What I've Done was it, and I'm pretty sure for that music video they used like kids in Africa for the video, like that didn't have a home or didn't have food.
Yeah.
And as a 15-year-old, I was just like, I thought Linkin Park was being weird because their music videos used to be like them jumping around and getting crazy and having like CGI stuff, and so then like they were doing this video with like, I don't know if it was Ethiopian kids or what it was. I'm not sure, but they were doing this video, and like what they were trying to do was make a video that tackled a real issue, which is, you know, that's something to be respected. But for me, I'm just like, why? They're being weird. Like, why are they doing weird stuff like this? Like, this isn't Linkin Park. You know what I mean?
No, I understand. Kid, you just wasn't able to grasp what was going on because it was like different.
No, yeah, I didn't. Yep, totally.
Yeah, I understand. No, I definitely get that. I know I had that with several things, but I wasn't really. I think I was really late to the party when it comes to just having gotten into music and bands, because it was like at the time it was honestly whatever my sister was listening to. So when she got into Spice Girls, I was like Spice Girls. When she got into like Actually, when she was getting into Linkin Park and stuff, and I was into them for a bit, and then I started to kind of like somewhat get into my own stuff with like Nickelback for a while, and then like there were some other groups and stuff like that. But honestly, it wasn't until after high school where I started to develop my own taste. But I mean, for most people, they already had it. So, oh, this part.
All of
I don't know why I
Creighton's
make it
musical
sound so bad,
tastes,
but yeah.
and if he was here, he would confirm that this is true. All of Creighton's musical tastes were just mine until he was about, I don't know, 18.
Yeah, you kind of listen to what's familiar around you, and if you look up to someone like Creighton looks up to you, and then I look up to Shakira, then that makes sense. There were some things she listened to I was just not getting into though, like, and I'm not saying they're bad. It's definitely not anywhere near my taste. Like Mushroom Head, and oh my God, Mudvayne. I remember Mudvayne had a song called "Not Falling," and I liked that song a lot.
Yep.
But then I was like, man, I gotta check out the rest of their stuff. And then I listened to it, and I was like, I can't get into this.
I love Mudvayne. Yeah, me and
That's
Creighton
fair. Yeah.
Mudvayne.
No, "Not Falling" is a great song, but that's all I can really
Me and Creighton-
contribute to that.
Me and Creighton
conversation.
think of Mudvayne as doing laundry music, because when we were first getting into Mudvayne, we went to a laundromat to clean I had to clean some clothes, and while we were sitting there waiting for the laundry to be done, just watching it tumble, we just played Mudvayne, and it was just like Mudvayne screaming and rocking out while we watch clothes tumble.
I mean, isn't it cool? Like, that really goes to say something about how you create nostalgia, because like so many of my memories are just of stuff like that. And when I think about, there's this band called Eiffel 65, and they're the ones that had that song,
Yep.
"I'm Blue," yeah. So,
Yep.
But that whole album that song's on, called Europop, is something that has been like a huge focal point of music whenever I used to do LAN parties back in high school. And to this day, like, that group of friends thinks back on that CD so fondly, but yet no one ever talks about it. Like, people know the song more than they do the album or even the band, but like for us, it was like we listened to the shit out of that, and that's what I associate it with every time.
Yeah.
So when I hear that music or that soundtrack, I think so much about that. Plus, to be fair, they do have a song called PlayStation, and they literally sing about Tekken and Metal
Oh,
Gear
I just
Solid
died.
and everything.
Wow.
So, oh shit. Oh, we're supposed to go
just
here
fell
anyway.
out of my banshee. I fell like 5
Okay.
feet and I died.
I fell forever. Okay, man, I gotta ask you something now. In between,
Okay.
I can't remember if we talked about Batman on one of the previous episodes, but I feel like we were talking about the Nolan trilogy. Have you ever seen '89 Batman with the one that had the Joker in it? And all, if so,
Yeah,
what are your
a couple
thoughts?
times.
Okay.
I think it's a great movie. Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
objectively and subjectively, what rating do you give it?
Okay, well, I will admit that the last time I've seen it all the way through was over 5 years ago, so my
Okay.
opinion can't be taken too seriously.
Yeah,
What I
you're good.
want to say is that it was subjectively a 7, critically an 8 out of 10. So 4 stars.
Okay.
That's what I'd say.
Nice.
That's based on my memory. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely.
I thought it was really. I think Returns was better if I remember right, but
Yeah. I mean,
Batman Returns,
I
yeah.
feel like I'm biased with that because that was my introduction to those films, but yeah, I couldn't get into the first one. I was like, maybe it's because it feels dated, but there was just some things.
yeah,
I mean,
both
there's
feel
definitely
very
cool
dated
stuff
to me,
about
in
it
my
though.
opinion.
Like, I think I gave it a.
You don't
3
think
or
Returns
3.5.
feels dated at all?
Well, I'm like 20 minutes into rewatching it right now, so I'll probably feel that way once I'm done with that too. But that '89 one just feels far more. And I mean, it probably is because it came out in '89 compared to '92. But like, some of the stuff is just so static and slow. Like, you can tell, like, Batman didn't really actually do much in that movie, and it's just because of at the time, they just didn't really have many options. So, but
And
it
Michael
feels.
Keaton couldn't actually turn his head.
Yeah, and he was wearing Nike shoes underneath. Oh shit!
Nice. Yeah,
That was a hippo dance.
I'm gonna forever be unapologetic to Batman DC fans about the fact that, for me, Batman, as far as live action goes, Christian Bale is Batman to me. That is my Batman. That's everything I wanted out of Batman. That trilogy is definitely not perfect, but it's really everything I wanted from Batman, and it's probably my second favorite trilogy of all time. I adore
When you say
the Christopher
unapologetically,
Nolan Batmans.
is that because you've had people that try to dispute that with you or something?
Well, because most like hardcore Batman fans are very aware and knowledgeable that Christopher Nolan's portrayal of Batman is not very comic book accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just kind of a fact. Like even though a lot of people, and if Matthew Salvatore ever listens to this, I think he'll appreciate this. But even though a lot of people crap all over the DCEU version of Batman and things, like it's way more like comic book accurate than the Christian Bale one.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm surprised because like Batman straight up kills people in the Tim Burton ones.
Yeah,
so that's not wholly comic book
accurate. Yeah, I think there is a comic book series of Batman though where he does kill people. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's Dark Knight Returns. If I'm not mistaken, he kills a dude with a gun. I can't remember for sure, but I mean, like, what I'm trying to say though is like that's kind of seems like an unfair argument that people kind of put that on you, or at least on the Christian Bale stuff.
In Christian Bale's movie or Christopher Nolan's Batman, like he gives the whole story a realistic take. Because he's a Christopher Nolan film. Yeah, dude, he's dead. He's
Continue.
Dead. He gives the whole thing a realistic take, and the Scarecrow is done realistically more, so that it makes. I just jumped off the edge like an idiot. Wow, me and that elite, dude. Yeah. So me and no, I'm just saying like Scarecrow and Ra's al Ghul, they're. Like, think about it, dude. Like, in the animated series or, like, in the comics, like, Ra's al Ghul can literally, like, come back from the dead. Like, that's not a thing in Christopher Nolan's films because it's not realistic. He changed it. He made it so that Ra's al Ghul's legacy lives on forever and it never goes away. Not him actually, because he wanted it to be, real realistic. Scarecrow has, like, a literal mask and uses a gas toxin rather than actually look like a scarecrow and have needles coming out of his fingers. The Joker, while an amazing representation of the Joker, wasn't anything like the animated series or the comic books. He was a completely new take. Bane was not like a luchador, like Mexican, like he is in the comics. He's Tom Hardy with a mask.
Are we going the right way?
He's also not. He's not dressed like. I believe so. He's not dressed like a wrestler or anything. He's just a guy with a little mask on.
Yeah.
Catwoman is not really dressed like a cat, but her goggles when she puts them up, they almost look like ears. Like Christopher Nolan did everything he could to try to make his Batman trilogy seem like it could really happen in real life, which is great. That's what I love. Like I love that about those movies, but that's not really accurate to comics.
I think that's still a reason to like them though, because I mean, like I get it in defense of you liking that. Like, it's fun to have that kind of stuff. I mean, if they were ever to make a Star Wars movie that felt more grounded in that sense, then I could see myself even enjoying those just for its fresh take, even if those don't feel as the same. It's still nice to have something like that.
I think I know this doesn't really constitute what you meant by grounded, but I think
that's
why
a
lot
Solo
of people
or Rogue One.
I was gonna say both actually. I was gonna say Solo and Rogue One.
That's fair. I was gonna say because that's probably the closest we've gotten to it. Yeah.
You find people who say like, "Oh, that's my favorite," and I kind of feel like I don't feel that way in the fact that I'm not gonna go out and say Solo's my favorite Star Wars film or Rogue One's my favorite Star Wars film, but like when I watch Solo, like it kind of does hit on a lot of the right notes that I like as a person. So like in a sense, like Solo, I do kind of like Solo more than most.
We were
of the
definitely
Star
going
Wars
the wrong way.
Yeah.
Shit.
If you don't get lost in this mission, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
But
continue.
Yeah, like I don't know, like Solo's. I guess what I would say is Solo is more similar to the type of movie I enjoy than the rest of the Star Wars films. But I would still put the other Star Wars films ahead of it. Like I don't think Solo's like better than A New Hope or something.
No, I still like
Pirates, but yeah.
I still love the Nolan films, despite them. Like as time's gone on, I like them less. But dude, Batman Begins is like I don't know. It's probably my second favorite Batman film. I love when that film came out in 2005. It was one of those films where it's like it was everything I wanted it to be, yet I didn't even know that's what I wanted. You know, like I was just so like
I get that.
The whole origin story aspect and like having I just the casting. I really love the casting. Like Michael Caine as Alfred was awesome. Gary Oldman as oh my gosh, Commissioner Gordon, or not Commissioner yet, but just all that type of stuff. All the characters in there, and just how he just came to be Batman. I was just so in love with that. Like when he's going to train with Ra's al Ghul and stuff like that. Like that was so cool to get that context because we hadn't really gotten that in a film before. We hadn't really gotten his origin story per se, like in terms of how he became Batman. I mean, outside of his parents, you know, that whole thing. But dude, I loved it, and I loved having Scarecrow in there, and all those lines where he like, I can't remember what he says. It's not what I am, but what I do that defines me. And then he's like, see ya! He jumps off and starts flying, and the music kicks in, and that score was so good. Oh man.
The most badass scene of Batman Begins to me is like the guy's like, "Where are you?" And he's like,
"We're here." Yeah. No, that was good too, and it had Carmine Falcone, like, which was awesome to see. So, and I even loved the movie.
There's that one part. There's that one part where he's like, oh, I don't know how he says it, but he's like, "There's one of us," and then like there's a pause, and then Batman's like, "Now there's two." You know, like I don't know, like he just to scare his, like he uses fear.
I was gonna say, like,
you know,
that was the first Batman movie to really, I feel like, successfully play upon the fear factor, which is such a big element for him. So I love that they brought that to the table.
You know what, dude? Like, I'm just gonna say this because I'm thinking it. Like, before I get to my point, you and me have both experienced this so much, where we get hung up on things that bother us, and it frustrates us to no end. That we get hung up on something that's so trivial.
Mm-hmm.
But you just have to. You can't help but acknowledge it. Like, for instance,
what the hell?
You know, when you talk about in Halo, you talk about the orange in Halo 4. You know how, like, that's forever gonna bother you. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of trivial, but like you're never gonna be able to like not see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That I'm saying that because one of my favorite films of all time is The Dark Knight, and I'm so bothered that Katie Holmes is not in it. Just can't get over it. I get that. Man.
I think,
and it's not because I love Katie Holmes. It's because
the consistency.
Yeah, it's not because I love Katie Holmes, but
it's the consistency. No, I get it. The sort of continuity, if you will, in that. So I get it.
Like they could have. Rosie O'Donnell could have played freaking Rachel in the first movie, and I would have wanted Rosie O'Donnell to be the one in the second. You know, like that's how I am.
I'm not trying to diss Rosie O'Donnell when I say this, but like that is the most relevant she's been this entire year. Is that conversation?
I was mentioned on the Sacred Icon Halo Playcast. That was the highlight for me.
But no, I get it, man. I mean, I'm not. Maggie Gyllenhaal just didn't really gel as well for me. And didn't kind of fit.
Though I thought she had good chemistry with Harvey Dent character.
I didn't quite feel it as much, but that's fair. Like I'm not saying I'm right, but I think it was less to do with her ability as an actor and just more so because it's not everyone else is the same face, but except hers, it's the same character, and that's just hard to get. It's hard to do. And recasting is not something that happens as much nowadays. You know, it used to be pretty normal back then, but it just isn't now. So that it felt jarring.
They find ways to work around it more now. I feel like.
And had she not died in that movie, then I think it would have felt even stranger. But I'm able to like get past it. I think the thing I don't like about Dark Knight really, and it's hard to pick, but I hate that Harvey Dent dies. I wish he had stuck around for the third. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Because I think the way I look at it is like he's built up. His character is built up so much throughout the movie, and then the Joker kind of helps turn him into what he is. In a sense.
There's no way that you get that 10 out of 10 ending to Dark Knight without him dying, though.
That's fair.
Because the whole thing is like,
I'm not saying you're wrong.
The whole thing is like, pin it on me. I can be the hero of Gotham, not the one they need, the one they deserve.
Yeah.
Oh, I just got killed by Banshee.
Fair. I can't argue. What? Like it hit you?
See, this is it hit me. This is what I hate though, dude. Like, okay, so you talked about how much you love Batman Begins, and I love Batman Begins, but I'm like, the consistency of the trilogy is a lot better. Is the consistency, like, bear with me, the consistency is a lot better if you don't watch Batman Begins. If you just watch Dark Knight Rises, it's got way more consistency. But I think Batman Begins is so good, why would you skip it? Why would you leave it out? Like, I don't want to. But you get what I'm saying? Because, like, not only is Rachel Dawes' character not played by two actresses then, because, like, you even see a picture of Rachel Dawes on Batman's, like, nightstand in Dark Knight Rises, and it's Maggie Gyllenhaal. So, like, everything's really consistent with the actors, and Christopher Nolan's, like, tone of directing is the same in Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises. Like, his directing is the same in both films. Where in Batman Begins, he has a very different directing, like, take.
No,
so
that's fair.
Do you agree with that? Like,
no,
it's more
I don't
consistent
disagree
without
with
Batman
you.
Begins?
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to wrap my brain around how I could best explain it, but I think for me what it is that Begins does in a lot of ways still feel comic booky to me in a sense. But
I agree.
But I think that
more so than the other two.
Yeah, but I think the other two definitely have that more like grounded in reality type feel going for it. Like the way Dark Knight Rises opens up feels so much. It has like such a Mission Impossible kind of vibe to it, and not that that's a bad thing at all. It's just it feels so different from where things are at in Batman Begins. But it's not a bad thing, and even though Dark Knight Rises is definitely kind of like really low on the scale for me, and I know we talked about that before, but like it's still a good movie. I still like it.
Okay, I want to say two things. I want to say two things real quick.
Okay.
First of all, yeah, I think the best way I would always put it is that Batman Begins is Christopher Nolan making a comic book movie. The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises is Christopher Nolan making Christopher Nolan films. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And then the next thing I would say is...
Boom!
Yeah, let's talk about that. I know we've talked about it before. Let's talk about that some more. Like, now, I'll admit I'm biased because I love Dark Knight Rises. Like, it's almost as good as Dark Knight for me. Like, I love Dark Knight Rises. But I don't actually understand... Like, I understand criticisms, but I don't understand...
The enunciation!
Like, I want to make that clear. Like, I understand the criticisms of it, but I don't understand... I don't understand the entirety of the criticism, like just criticism of the. now I know. Of the entire film. Like, why do people? I don't understand why people hate on that movie so much. Like, what would you say critically Dark Knight Rises is? I want to get a base here for what you think it is critically.
Like objectively?
Yeah, as a film.
Okay, I haven't seen it all the way through in a couple years. But I'll go off the top of my head. I'd probably say a 3.5 or 4 out of 5.
Okay, that's about where I land. Objectively, that's where I land. I think that I agree with you. So we're on the same page. That's fair. Okay, so I'm glad we're on the same page because then we can have a better, like, a more discussion that makes more sense to me. Because people treat it like it was garbage or it just like retroactively.
I definitely think
it
has
like,
a lot of problems instead of a little, but. At the same
time,
I
don't think I agree with that, but like, let's talk that through because I'm interested. Like, give me a lot of. Okay, actually, I can nip this one in the bud right now. I don't agree with you about the Joker thing, Josh. But
I know that
at all. Yeah, but other than that, actually, go ahead and reiterate.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Go ahead and reiterate for the people listening.
Because Bryan and I have a history. That's probably our biggest like disagreement ever. I think in the history of our friendship is that, in my opinion. And I'm not saying I'm right about this, but in my opinion,
I guarantee there's people that agree with you.
Yeah, well, obviously there'd be people that agree with you too. Yeah, but I'm definitely of the camp that it's pretty jarring and it's a flaw of the film. It results in a flaw of the film. Well, actually, I'm doing a terrible job describing this. The fact that Joker wasn't mentioned at all or acknowledged in Dark Knight Rises is a bit jarring to me, and I think it really hurts the symmetry of the three films cohesively to me. Just because in Dark Knight, the last thing he says to Batman is, "You and I are bound to do this forever." And at the time, subjectively, I guess, here's how I'll split it up. Subjectively, as a fan, we knew for a fact it was confirmed that he was going to be back. Like, the plan was to have him back for the next film. So when I watch Dark Knight Rises, it's hard to swallow the fact even more that he's not acknowledged because we know that he was in the cards to come back, and that's why they left off the way they did in The Dark Knight. However, objectively, if I'm removing that and just watching him, I think it just still feels weird that he's not really acknowledged because, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Scarecrow, or at least I forget his like his real name, but I think he does have a cameo in like a court scene or something like that.
Yep.
I think
yep,
isn't. Yeah, so he kind of has an appearance. Liam Neeson comes back in a cameo appearance, but we don't get a mention of Joker or just sort of an acknowledgement that he's still somewhere out there. All we got was just a reference in the book. So that's where I'm coming from, but I understand that not everyone agrees with that, and I know that I understand and respect Nolan's reasoning. I just don't think it was the right move. I think it hurt the film more than it helped it. But that's just my opinion. So you can go ahead and add in your 2 cents if you want.
I do agree because it's fact that he was gonna be in there when Heath Ledger died. Like he was gonna be back. So like I don't think there's any denying. I don't think there's any denying that like obviously Dark Knight Rises would have been a different film if Heath Ledger hadn't have died. I don't dispute that at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I also can see that all the characters from the prior films were touched on in some way, except for Joker. I see that as well too. But my thing is that, well, first of all, he says, not that this. I'm not trying to. Are we going backwards, Josh?
I don't know. That's what I couldn't tell.
Know.
I saw the red. I saw the blip.
Whatever.
So I was looking toward that.
Go
ahead,
I'm not trying to nitpick on you, but what Joker says is, I think that we're bound to do this forever.
Yeah.
So.
Sure.
So
no, that's fine.
It's
been a minute.
Not that makes.
It's been a while.
But yeah, it's been a while. I don't think that it's a big deal. But the fact that The Dark Knight Rises takes place 8 years later.
That's what my problem is. Okay, now that's where I think the film has issues because of that. So here's my biggest issue overall. I think where the film does suffer objectively. The film, in order to adjust from Heath Ledger not being there, not being around, they jump 8 years into the future, and the film starts off with Batman in retirement, then Batman comes out of retirement, then at the end of the film Batman goes back into retirement, and I think that really hurts.
I can see how that would irritate someone.
Yeah, it's just, it's not so much as it's irritating, but it's just, I think it's just a problem because like I understand them wanting to jump ahead enough because I think objectively, if I can play devil's advocate against myself, I think that's probably the best thing they could have done if he's intending to not sort of acknowledge that out of respect from his perspective, to not sort of acknowledge Joker in there and stuff like that. Then you want to do a time jump, so it's kind of far enough away where it doesn't feel like Joker's going to be relevant. But I think the film itself contextually kind of suffered as a result of it because you had him sort of being in retirement, in this sort of quasi-exile retirement, if you will. And then he comes out of it, and it's just temporary, and then at the very end, he goes back into it. Like, now, don't get me wrong, though, like, the meat and potatoes of that film is very much like Alfred playing upon, like, you need to basically, like, hang this up, like, when's enough, and, then the whole time he's like, this is it, pretty much, and then you have that. But then also, for me, it's like, it's a little weird to think we had 2 films of this other love interest that seemed to be very important to him, but then this Selena Kyle, and I love Selena Kyle, I love Catwoman, but in terms of just this movie and the build-up, he like goes into retirement pretty much like with her as his partner, and they just met, and it's just, it feels like it happens too soon without any real like depth to it. Like, we get them having chemistry together.
I agree with that. I feel like that's pretty common for movies though, because you only have 2-3 hours. But I agree though.
Yeah, no.
I mean?
I guess what I'm trying to say is like, so you had like the build up with this other character in 2 movies, and then you bring in this one in the 3rd movie, and that suddenly, like, within a short amount of time, that one sort of takes the place. Like, in terms of a happy ending, he goes with this one he barely knows compared to this one that we had a lot of build up for. And I guess it just feels rushed in a way, yet it wasn't. But it feels rushed because of stuff like that.
I think there's just only so much you can do when you have 3 films and that's it. Like, he's ending the entire story of he's starting and ending the entire story of Batman's career in 3 films.
Well, it's weird. Like, the best way I can summarize this is like when you said that 2 and 3 have a lot more in common together than like 1 and 2. I 100% agree with that. But then I feel like 2 and 3 feel so like disconnected from one another, like in terms of plot, but like in terms of aesthetics and tone and everything, they feel so similar.
See, I think they're super close in plot personally, because like the whole thing that the Dark Knight Rises starts with is like they're commemorating the memory of like Harvey Dent, because the Dent Act kept criminals off the street for 8 years.
No, that's definitely
And,
fair. I just
and then
everything else that comes after that really just kind of doesn't quite stick for me. But that's more to do because of the time jump than really anything else in the film. Because you have 8 years,
Yeah.
you know. Like I mean, I can't
guess
sit here and say that 1 and 3 feel like they're more connected, because they're not. Like 2 and 3 are more connected to me than 1 and 3 are, but that's not really fair at the same time. Shit, do we gotta take Banshees up?
no,
I'm enjoying this conversation so much that I've completely spaced on that.
Yeah, no, I think more or less. I think everything, all of your opinions are more or less fair. Like I don't,
Mm-hmm.
you're not saying anything crazy to me, really. So that's so.
Well,
I guess that's the best kind of. Yeah.
The only other thing too is that, and I don't think it's a fault of Nolan's per se, because the first thing that comes to mind, like keep in mind Spider-Man 3 when I say this, but Dark Knight Rises does this thing where like it makes, okay, like it's got Talia. Talia's the villain, you know? And remember how like finally Harry Osborn's the villain in Spider-Man 3? But then you have this sort of cameo ghost hallucination that is Norman Osborn. Then you also have Ra's al Ghul. And I feel like we just see that so many times now in these third movies. Like, remember how Han Solo showed up in Rise of Skywalker as this hallucination type thing? You know?
Yeah.
Like, it's such a common thing, a common trope, and it didn't feel like Dark Knight Rises didn't do as much new. I feel like it just kind of like, it's a really good film, but it just phoned a lot in. But when you think of something being phoned in, you think like it has bad connotations. But I don't mean it that way. It didn't really add anything new to it. It had a beginning, middle, and end movie or structure where it introduced this new villain, had a sort of villain underneath that was a twist that you find out like 3/4 of the way through is actually the real villain. And with a little bit of character development, a new love interest in there, just enough so that we can send our character off with a bang. You know, and it just...
Yeah, I will say as a criticism to Christopher Nolan, I said this to Erica when we came out of seeing Tenet about a week or two ago. He is obsessed with bombs. I don't understand it. Like,
Dude,
it's actually starting to show. It's starting to really show. It's getting tiresome, because think about this. In Dark Knight,
the bus...
Joker tries to.
I'm thinking of the school bus at the beginning,
bus?
but no, I'm thinking of the. But I know what you're talking about. You're talking about later on with the boat and everything.
Well, yeah, the boats are going to get blown up. You have the what else does he try to blow up in that movie in Dark Knight?
Everything. Everything. There's a lot of.
I'm blanking here. I'm trying to think. What happened before the boat sequence in Dark Knight? It was he blew up the hospital. Blew up the hospital.
Yeah.
Okay, so he blew up the hospital. He blows up the boats. Then you get to Dark Knight Rises. What is the climax of Dark Knight Rises?
Oh shit! We gotta get in those Banshees.
That's gonna blow up. There's a giant bomb that's gonna blow up Gotham. You remember that?
Yeah.
And like Batman has to take the bomb away from Gotham.
Mm-hmm.
In Tenet, it all comes down to like a bomb. I'm trying to think. Did Inception? No, Inception didn't have a bomb, I don't think.
Well, Inception still those crazy set pieces.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm just like, to me, bombs are, most of the time, bombs and stories are really uninteresting.
Here's what it comes down to. Now, I'm not trying to shit on Rian Johnson at all, I swear. Like, I think he's a great director, got great vision. There's no buts to that. Him and Christopher Nolan have a routine. They just both have a routine in how they do their stories. There's some directors out there who do different stuff and they kind of reinvent themselves, but when it comes to Christopher Nolan and Rian Johnson, they both have a formula. Like, Ryan's very much, every film's got to subvert expectations. It's got to have some crazy, unique twist in there of some kind that's going to subvert what you expect. And then Nolan's going to have like that very like aesthetically clean, like everyone looks like they have like they're rich. They have like crazy money, dressed as
And
super
they just got out of the
sharp.
shower.
They just got out of the shower. They look clean, sophisticated, and like you said, there's bombs, and there's usually some crazy like scene work going on. So like the cinematography in the Nolan film, I guess is what I'm trying to
And
go
the
for.
music, dude. I can't. Oh, you just took us backwards, I think. Or maybe I did.
Oops, my bad.
Um,
No, I don't know who did. We'll just say it was me.
Okay, so go follow me. Here we go. Dude, I'm interested to hear I'm actually really interested to hear. I'm guessing you'll probably see it on disc. Your opinion on Tenet, because there is a colossal. No matter what your opinion is on Tenet, it has one colossal flaw that I feel like is objective, and I don't know if I can I don't know how I could be convinced that it's not an objective colossal flaw. You can't you know how like the music in Christopher Nolan films is usually really good, like Hans Zimmer and stuff.
I was gonna say Hans Zimmer.
The music is so loud and so huge in Tenet. You can almost never hear what the actors are saying the entire film.
Well, see, I remember this being a thing for Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, it's like that, but way worse, way worse.
Okay, because I remember, like, when I watched it on Blu-ray, I don't have that issue, but in cinemas, dude, it was hard. It was definitely hard to hear some things sometimes.
Me and Erica honestly didn't know what any character was saying or doing pretty much from the beginning to the end of Tenet. Like, we just, like, we're literally listening intently, and we're like, what is he saying? Like, we're hearing, like, a word here and a word there. Like, it was like, this is horrible. Like, how can a film this big and this important by someone so esteemed come out and the sound mixing or whatever is so off that
yeah.
Oh, we just went back again.
Yeah.
It's so off that you can't hear what they're saying. And Robert Pattinson, what's kind of crazy is, did you know that the main character of Tenet is Denzel Washington's son?
Like in real life?
Yeah. It's the main character.
That's so cool. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I didn't know that was his son. Oh wow.
Yeah, it's his son. Well, now he does a good job, and he's a fair enough actor. But I feel like he's like more so just a good actor, not a great one.
Mm-hmm.
And when Robert Pattinson is on screen with Denzel Washington's son, it is so clear how great of an actor Robert Pattinson is. Like his acting
really good to
is
hear.
so.
I mean, I
it's
felt
so
that way
far
for a
above
while.
it.
Oh my god, my voice just creaked. But
I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be real because, and I believe you 100%. But I know there's a lot of people out there right now who who used to hate on him all the time, and they're now going, "Oh yeah, I always liked him. I thought he was good." I don't think that's you at all. But I'm saying for those, I want to clear the air and say, for me personally, I have until Tenet at least, I have never seen, or actually no, Lighthouse. The Lighthouse is the first thing I saw where his acting was really great. I never saw Robert Pattinson in anything that made me go, wow, his acting's incredible, but I never based his acting on Twilight. Like, I was never somebody who was like, oh, he sucks because of Twilight. Like, 'cause to me that doesn't make sense to say that, but I wasn't, I didn't have any evidence of he being great either, you know?
Because it's the same thing as Hayden
But
Christensen.
now I do.
He was in this movie called Shattered Glass, and people always point to that to say, if you want to see good acting by Hayden, go watch that movie. And his acting is good in that. It's not mind-blowing, but it's good. I'm almost certain he won an award for that movie.
Well,
but then you see Star Wars.
I was going to touch on earlier. You just brought up with Hayden Christensen. I was going to say...
Oh, shit. I'm sorry, Brian. I'm sorry.
That's okay. No, it's okay, man. With Hayden Christensen, you know, you talked about, like, how he got, you know, like, you don't think he's a bad actor and he got bad scripts or whatever. For me, I think a large problem of Hayden Christensen in the Star Wars movies is the script he was given and the directing. Yeah. But I would say Hayden Christensen, he's probably just a very, very, very level, quote unquote, good actor. Like,
yeah, it's really hard to say.
Interpretation
you don't have much
is that
to
he's
go off on with him. You don't.
Yeah, my interpretation is that he's a basic level actor. Like, he's good, but he's nothing like special. Like, he's not a Leonardo DiCaprio. You know, he's not something amazing. But
did you know
good.
he
Like,
auditioned for Anakin back in the day?
Oh, Hayden Christensen?
No, Leo.
Oh, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
And George didn't pick him, but he chose.
No.
Oh, you talking like young or old? Oh, I would have been older.
I'm talking about for Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Leo did.
Well,
Leo
I'm glad that didn't happen.
He had like I don't know if you remember from like kind of the late '90s, early 2000s, but his name was Ryan Phillippe. He auditioned. He had a lot of Hollywood dudes that auditioned for that, but Hayden beat them all. He just felt like he had the best chemistry with Natalie Portman. Yet you see the execution in the film is just so cringy. But they got along in real life,
Yeah.
so I'm always happy for that.
I will
but,
say there's some scenes in Revenge of the Sith where I feel like they do have chemistry.
I do too. I'm glad to hear you say that. I think people would
Like, I'm
probably
not saying it's
give
like
your,
mind-blowing,
your
but
opinion
yeah.
more merit there because I'm the biased one. But why is this not opening? Are we doing something wrong, Brian? Oh, there we go. It just took a minute.
There you go. No, like the scene in the beginning where she tells him that she's pregnant. I believe I feel like there's chemistry there. The scene where she's like crying and saying, "I don't know who you are anymore" on Mustafar. I feel like there's chemistry there. The scenes that get made fun of in Revenge of the Sith for having bad chemistry, I understand because I would agree those scenes aren't the best. Like the scene where he's like, "I'm so in love with you," like that's pretty bad for me personally.
I always thought it was so sweet. But I get it.
I mean, it might be sweet, but I can see the cringe there. But like the thing is, like with the Red Letter Media reviews, he doesn't really like the point of those reviews is to point out the negatives. But like the scenes with her like crying, saying "I don't know who you are anymore," and like telling him that she's pregnant.
Wow, this
there's chemistry there.
Cool.
It feels like there's real love. I feel it. So
I think that's what I like.
It's so great, Josh, to be at this point in life now, or I feel like I'm more in. I mean, I could 10 years from now, maybe I'll look back and say I was full of it, but like, I feel like I'm more objective now than I've ever been because even in like 2015 when The Force Awakens was coming out, I would very much, and I've definitely been harsh and cruel to the prequels before, but I've never been as harsh and cruel as the worst of people. But like even back in 2015, I would have very much been the kind of guy to be like, "Oh yeah, the Red Letter Media reviews, check those out, man. They really talk about everything that's wrong with the prequels." And even now, I'm still like, yeah, the Red Letter Media reviews do a really good job of touching on all the problems with the prequels. But the thing that I wouldn't have said in 2015 that I'll say now is the Red Letter Media's reviews have an agenda. And the agenda is to make the films look like crap. And luckily for them, there's plenty in the prequels that are bad. So it's easy enough to service that purpose. But because of the Red Letter Media reviews and all the negative things, people fixate on that so much. People have literally forgotten or excised from their minds that there's actual good stuff in those movies too.
No, I agree.
Like it's like not in the collective conscience anymore. Like people forgot. Like there's good stuff.
I completely agree with that. The Red Letter Media, like those things are so enjoyable to watch, man. But the thing is, it's like they're trying to present all their information as facts. Like this is objectively bad. This is at fault. But the problem with that is all of that objective, like stuff they're trying to have. Although all those objective opinions are coming from a source of subjectivity, of them subjectively not enjoying those films.
Well,
you know what I mean?
It's never contrastly done against the positives.
Yeah.
It's never it's never like Plinkett goes, "Well, the acting was horrible here, but it was actually done quite well in this scene." Like he never does that, really. You know?
Yeah. So. And by the way, guys, if you haven't listened to us on the pod, we love those videos. They're just like they get a lot of love, and people just tend to jump on those things and kind of use those as a way of like, I don't know, what's the word for it? I guess vilifying their sort of like hate. They can just point to that, you know what I mean? And it's like, well, go watch that. Right. Yeah, it's like just justification. It's like, no, there's a lot more to it.
I know for a fact if Red Letter Media set out to do the exact same style for the Hobbit trilogies, like do the Red Letter Media Plinkett reviews of the Hobbit trilogy, they could probably make almost the same length of videos and touch on the same points and make a good argument for why the Hobbit trilogy is terrible.
Like,
because they would leave out all the good stuff.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. And it's just tough because it's like, you know what though? Like you're doing these reviews that are based on sequels. And your bias is obviously going to be in there because you're going to be comparing it to what you love. And something you love so much is now, it's done in a way that you don't like. And then so much of, not just that, but you got to remember too, like, when the prequels started coming out for Star Wars, all the multimedia outside of the films shifted to a focus on the prequels. Like, the original content wasn't relevant. So then you had new stories, like new books that were being done in the prequel era, new comics, new video games. every aspect was sort of being done with a more relevant era. So for people that didn't like those, they had to like swallow that pill because Lucasfilm, LucasArts, LucasBooks, all that stuff at the time was saying, like, this is the hip thing, this is the relevant thing. Just sort of like the sequel trilogy. You know, I mean, not so much now. I guess actually that's not right because they've done a lot to try to cover everything, but that's what came with it. So a lot of it, I think those people kind of doubled down on their hate because it felt like they were being forced to like this stuff, and if they didn't, like, you're gonna have to go back because we're not putting out original stuff for a long time that's gonna focus on other eras. It's not to say that stuff still wasn't happening, but there was obviously such a new shift. You know what I mean? Because like, holy shit, people don't know what this actual era is like, and now we have all these new stories, and we know what the Sith looked like from back in the day, with double-bladed lightsabers and everything. So it's tough because like, if they were doing the Hobbit films like you said, they'd probably do the same thing, and it'd be super fun to watch. But again,
and they wouldn't be wrong. It's just they wouldn't touch on any of the right stuff.
I guess the point I'm dancing around is that if the Hobbit films had come out first and they'd been exactly like they are now, and we didn't have the Lord of the Rings films, the Lord of the Rings films, when they would come out, would come under much more scrutiny, regardless of whether or not they're objectively bad or good, because they're the ones that come out.
I mostly agree with that, yeah.
They succeed what preceded it, and it's just like, that's going to fall under more scrutiny. So if the Hobbit films came out first and people really loved those Lord of the Rings films, however good we might feel they are, even though I think they're night and day better despite loving the Hobbit films, they're still going to fall under scrutiny by some people. Because someone might say, oh, where's Tariel? I know she wasn't in the books, but why'd you build her up for 2 films and then she's not in there? Or, like, why don't we ever hear anything about Mirkwood again? Or blah, blah, blah. Or, like,
I really hated that, yeah, Bilbo's not played by the same guy. I was gonna say that.
Just something like that. Like, there would be stuff to find. So, it's tough. It's tough with that stuff, but I don't know. Like, I still love that stuff at the same time because it's an in-depth look. It gives me like new perspective, and like you said, they make a lot of good points of that stuff. Holy shit! I just teleported like to an entirely different state.
I know. Like, you're in Wyoming now, brother.
I was literally just shooting a hunter in the back, and suddenly I'm shooting you in the back. I was like, what the hell? That was trippy.
I noticed you hadn't got on a Banshee yet, and I was like, but yeah, this is the end of the mission right here.
Oh, holy cow! Well, since we're almost out of here, tell me so far what you're thinking about this mission in terms, like, is it as you remember it pretty much? Like, has anything changed?
It's as like, I remember it, but like playing it now, I'm like, you know, I still think it's silver tier, but it's at the low end of silver. You know.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. I don't know. For me,
it's just like Assault on the Control Room, but way worse. You know.
Yeah. I think the only issue I'm finding with this one right now is quiet. Like, the level itself is quiet. Like, I'm missing the Marines when they're talking and stuff. Oh, there's Chief. Ah.
I love how this game looks aesthetically so much.
I know it. Oh my gosh. You were so right though, man. I can't believe I ever used to say, like, Halo 3 looks, or Halo 2's levels look so bland, and then you're like, well, Josh, don't you remember some of the levels in Halo 1? And I look at this, and I'm like, I love how this looks, but it's like, come on, I was wrong.
Yeah, it's like we're both right, because it's like Halo 1 is like objectively blander than 2, but because of how Halo 1 was done, like it services the product better. Like, the blandness that you're talking about in Halo 2 is more of a detriment to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, it works in 1 better. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that. That's probably, I don't think I can put it better myself. Oh man, this level. This is like, for you, Brian, is this like the Cortana equivalent of Halo 3? I mean, like, the closest it could come to it.
Yeah, you know what? I think probably is, because I actually think I enjoy playing the library more than this level, if I'm being honest.
Okay. Well, see, I remember the first time I got to this level, I was looking at it, and just with all the different colors, I was so excited to play it. It reminded me of when I first played, oh my gosh. What's the third level? Truth and Reconciliation, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I was pretty excited at the beginning of this.
Yeah, I do like how this mission opens up. You kind of see some of that funny Cortana Chief camaraderie very early on. Look how weird like Chief looks in this lighting.
Yeah, I just noticed that. That looks so
crazy,
strange.
dude. You look like you just a Play-Doh man.
Play-Doh man. Play-Doh man and
All right,
Master
Josh.
Chief.
Man,
Going out
it's
eating
gonna be
100% ground beef. Hormel. Philly. Get yourself some out in West Philly.
Oh, yeah. That was an accident, as well as that. Anyways. Oh, he's breathing down my neck. Oh, keep quiet. Oh. I'm just imagining the people that have watched this, and they're like, "Oh, I'm so excited! I'm in the Halo mood." And like, all they talked about was freaking Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, and Batman. That's what's great about the Playcast, though, guys. It's just me and Josh talking about whatever we feel like while we play Halo, you know?
Yeah, it was pretty fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it.
But, alright, guys. Thanks for joining us on the 2 Betrayals mission of Halo CE. We are getting awfully close to the end. We're excited to be able to say we got this whole freaking game recorded here soon. So
It's crazy.
Guys, we're looking forward to playing through 2 Betrayals, or not 2 Betrayals, wow. Keys, which is probably my least favorite mission.
Not again!
No, hell no! Yeah, we'll play Keys next time, guys, and get through this thing quick and see that crazy-ass Captain Keys, like, freaking giant wart grave mine thing.
Yeah.
Alright, guys, we'll see you next time. Keep it sacred. Peace.